Welcome to Monster Territory, brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. Today just stunk. Today was a bad day. No fun news today. Nothing good. This is going to be a melancholy, sad podcast episode today. We've been having a lot of fun here over the last couple of months. Lots of energy, lots of high moments, lots of walk-offs, lots of energy. And you're feeling pretty good going down the stretch here. You know, you're seeing the division within reach. You know, you clawed your way back to 2-3 games back, and then you just got some devastating news here today. And yes, the Roman Anthony news today, in my opinion, was absolutely devastating. This is a big deal. This isn't just I don't know, like Will, you're going down. That stinks, right? I mean, that's a loss, but you can make up for that. You can make up for that production. And obviously you would like to have him in the lineup, but you can figure it out until he comes back. But losing Roman Anthony, that's a guy that's really difficult to lose. Sure, you could look at Alex Bregman, being the best player on the team, being the face of the team, being the leader of the team, the face of the franchise. Hopefully they re-sign him to a long-term extension. But I think you even though it's half a season of a sample size, I think you could look at Roman Anthony being the best player on the team. One of the best players in Major League Baseball, at least through this half a season that he's played. And the numbers back it up. The eye test backs it up. The metrics back it up. And just in case you are, I haven't even said what the news is. If you are living under a rock and you are just hearing about this for the first time, Roman Anthony is going to be out for an extended period of time with a strained oblique, a grade 2 strained oblique. You're looking at anywhere from a month to 2 months. Alex Cora said today 4 to 6 weeks. I think with an oblique, that's always tricky. You always got to be careful with that. 4 to 8 weeks, I think, is safe. But I'll dive into my thoughts on, when we could maybe see a return. I do think you can see a return this year, but it's at the worst possible time. I'll get into the numbers with Roman here in a little bit, how the Red Sox have done with him ever since he got called up. And it's a tough loss. It really is. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to sit here and, let's rile up the troops. Let's get the positivity going. This stinks. This is a tough one. And I'm not going to sit here, and I am usually a glass half full kind of a guy. I always am. I always look for the positives, and I still am going to be. I'm still going to look for the positives, and I'm still going to look for ways for, for the Red Sox to keep this going here. Because I think they can. It's going to be a lot tougher, though. It is absolutely going to be. It stinks. Today was a bad day. And then and of course, you had the game that you had here tonight. I mean, honestly, I'm not even going to talk about this game really all that much. I'm not going to waste anyone's time with this one. I'll dive into it. I'll go over the numbers here. I'll go over the stats. I'll go over the scoring. But, yeah, the Guardians, hey, we won the series. That's what's important. You would have loved the sweep, but it's a series win at the end of the day, but the Guardians, they were just all over this one here today. And it was pretty much over from the get-go. And, you combine that with what we heard about Roman here today, put a bow on top of it. That is one of the worst days of the season, to be completely honest with you. We still have a month to go, a little less than a month to go. We'll go over it. Everybody, thank you for joining me here tonight on a pretty down day. I appreciate it here from all of you. Seeing a lot of familiar faces. Andrew the Goat, George White, Jennifer, Moose, Emily, Tommy, George, Christopher Sanchez, how we doing? Embrace, PM, Gabriel, Suzuki, or is it Suki? Sorry if I mispronounced that. How we doing? Danny, what's going on? Thank you for joining me here tonight, everybody. If you can, hit that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new. I'm going to say this every single episode until we get there. We are trying to get to 5K by the end of the season. We got, like I said, a little less than a month to go. I think we can get there with your support. I absolutely think we can. If you are watching on Nesson here today, thank you for joining. Let's get to it here, shall we? And again, I'm not really going to... I'm not going to get really into this game all that much. The Guardians got it off. They got started off on the right foot. They drove in a run in the first inning, and then it was just all Guardians in the second inning here. All Guardians. Gabriel Arias with a 2-run home run that made it 3-0. Stephen Kwan, 6 hits in the series overall. He went 3 for 5 tonight. Stephen Kwan's so freaking good, man. He went 3 for 5, but he knocked in another run there to make it 4-0. Wong, he got called for interference. Brian Rocchio ended up scoring. They made it 5-0. Steven Matz, he ended up coming in a little bit later. Wild pitch. Scored Kwan to make it 6-0. Couple of errors for the Red Sox tonight. One happened here. Jarren Duran, liner off the bat from Kyle Manzardo out to left field. Right off Jarren Duran's glove. Hey, Jarren Duran, that athleticism, I do appreciate it out there, but he's definitely had his moments in the outfield this year, and that was another one of them. Right off the glove, that made it 7-0. Kayfus with a sac fly later on in the game. And, Eight runs from the Guardians here tonight. The Red Sox, they drove in a run. Nick Sogard, he ended up getting called back up here after Roman went down. They made it 7-1, but that was pretty much it here tonight. Romy, he went 2 for 4. Eaton, he was batting leadoff here tonight. He went 1 for 3, but that was it. You just felt the energy it was non-existent for the Red Sox here today at Fenway Park. It was just a bummer of a day. My thoughts on the bullpen. Jordan Hicks, I'm at the point right now where you just shut this guy down. I really am. I'd rather, honestly, go down to AAA, see if there's I'd rather give David Sandlin a bit of a shot here. I mean, I don't know. I'm going off of the fact I haven't looked at David Sandlin's numbers over the next couple of over the last couple of outings here, but Jordan Hicks is I really just don't see the point of putting him out there anymore. I really don't. I mean, the guy, it's just a roller coaster every single time he goes out there. He's not effective. Sure, you can look at the stuff and, maybe this comment ends up, biting me in the butt here, but, who knows? Maybe he ends up getting it worked out at some point over the next month or so. And because that stuff is real. The fastball is good. The secondaries, they could definitely do some things, but right now he just doesn't have control. He needs to figure himself out when it comes to whatever's going on mechanically, whether it's something with the grip or release point or whatever, the rotation with the hips. I don't know what it is, but there's something clearly mechanically going on with him, and they need to get this worked out. I would much rather give someone else down in AAA a shot. I don't know. Gave up 4 runs here tonight. What are you going to do with that? What are you going to do? Steven Matz, he was pretty messy here tonight. He's been pretty solid for the most part, but tonight wasn't one of his best nights. But I will shout out Zach Kelly. He ended up getting called back up here the last couple of days. Big shout out Zach Kelly, man. He went 4 innings here. 4 innings, 2 hits, 4 strikeouts. I think that's the best we've seen Zach Kelly, at least this year. I'd have to go back into the time machine and look at how he's done over the last couple of years, but he looked great here tonight. That was huge, right? You got the day off tomorrow, so that really helped out this bullpen tonight. And then Dustin May making his bullpen debut. 3 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned, couple of walks. Dustin May. I will say it looked more promising than Walker Buehler coming out of the bullpen. We'll see. I will say this. With Dustin May, this is just a thought off the top of my head. It's not even in my notes. If Dustin May stays in the bullpen, even though there was a lack of energy here today, with the Roman news, I will say, I'm all aboard the Tolley train. Peyton Tolley. We all felt that energy when he came up in his debut. I'm all about Tolley right now, man. That guy, if there's a guy that could really give you a bit of a boost, really get your spirits up, it's that guy. So hopefully he can, really help out at least on the pitching side of things over the next month or so. Sure, you're going to have to figure this out offensively, which I'll get to here in a little bit. But if he can give you a boost on the mound, maybe you won't be able to replace that production with Roman with another hitter, but maybe Tolley could pick it up a little bit or help pick things up a little bit on the pitching side. Who knows? But Peyton Tolley. Let's see if he can help bring some of that energy back to the Red Sox here. But that was it for tonight here, everybody. That was the game here tonight. That was awful. That was one of the least interested. That's the out of all the games this year. That's probably the one where I was really lacking interest in that one here tonight. I was paying attention. I was, following along, but oh boy, that was not a fun one here tonight. Let's get to the rest of the show here. We're going to check out the standings here in just a second. We'll take a look. Obviously, we'll talk about Roman here a little bit more. I'll go over some of the numbers, give you my thoughts, the impact on the Red Sox moving forward here over the next month and for the postseason. And I'll do a little bit of Q&A. I did post a Q&A thread on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. I'll go take a look at some of the questions that were posted there. We'll have a good old time. But before we do move forward, everybody, we do have a word from our sponsor. I'll be right back. The dog days of summer means it's time for the boys of summer to kick into gear, and the best way to cash in on your baseball IQ is with the DraftKings Sportsbook. Never bet on baseball before? Well, it's simple. You pick a guy to go yard, hammer some live odds mid-game, or just ride with your squad and hope for the best. No spreadsheets, just vibes and dingers. Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use the code FOUL, that's code FOUL, for new customers to get $300 in bonus bets instantly when you bet just $5. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Alrighty. Let's get to it here, shall we? Let's get to it here. And let's check the standings. Let's see what's going on here. And the Blue Jays did pick up the win here today. Those bats really showed up for Toronto here today against the Reds. And the Red Sox, they fall to 3.5 back. The Yankees are live as we speak, going up against the Astros. How about that one last night, or in this series here with Framber Valdez? Wow, that was a big story here over the last couple days or so. But we got a tie game here in Houston. Oh, the Astros, they actually got the bases loaded here. I'm all about that. Hey, 4-4 here, bottom of the 8th. The Astros are cooking. You got Devin Williams on the mound. Of course Devin Williams is on the mound here for the Yankees here tonight. And he's had a lot of down moments this year. But you got Taylor Trammell up to the plate right now, so let's see how that one goes. But as of right now, the Yankees, depending on how that goes, if the Yankees end up losing that one, then we'll be deadlocked for the first wild card. Well, the Yankees will be ahead by slight percentage points, and then in third, you got the Mariners right now. They've dropped 3 straight. The Mariners they're just losing it, right? The Rangers, the Rangers had a prime opportunity to gain another game. That's crazy, man. The Rangers, they just can't seem to. They got red hot there. They just can't seem to help themselves out. Man, oh man, they're getting a prime opportunity here as of late. They have closed the gap, but oh man, the Mariners. I mean, the Rangers, if they had just won their last couple of games, they'd be in the third wild card right now. That is crazy. But man, oh man. The Royals, but I mean, they've been cold here too. They lost again here today. They're sitting 2.5 back. I mean, what a prime opportunity for both these teams. Look at the Rays here. The Rays are getting hot. They've won 6 straight. They're starting up a series against the Guardians here tomorrow. They're picking up the pace here. They've won 8 out of their last 10. They're 2.5 back. The Guardians, I mean, obviously they won here tonight. They're 3 back. So all of a sudden, you got 4 teams here that have put themselves within reach. The Mariners, I mean, they got the day off tomorrow. They got to figure this out. But the division, I'm going to be honest with you, and this might sound like hopeful thinking here. And this is going to be extremely difficult to do, especially with the circumstances that have now been put on our plate. You got to find a way to win this division. And I'll tell you why here in just a second. But let's get to the news here, the bit of news that we've all been focused on here for today. And that is Roman Anthony going down. Roman Anthony heading to the IL with an oblique strain. Timetable is TBD. And Am I cut off on the screen again? Goodness gracious, we are always just we're always cut off here. I don't like the way that looks. There we go. That's a little better. There we go. All right, so Roman. Check swing in game 2 against the Guardians in this series, and he said he felt something on there, and then the next swing he really felt it on there. So, yeah, that's all I can take for an oblique. Just one bad swing, one bad check swing, and all of a sudden your body just goes against you. And I will say this with Roman. I will say this. This tends to happen. Over the years, we've seen plenty of guys have injuries, plenty of rookies have injuries late in the season, right? This is your first year of pro ball. Obviously the stakes are very high. And for Roman playing at a high level, in a way, I'm not surprised to see, even though he's very athletic, I mean, the guy is just built to have a good, long career. But I'm not surprised to see his body kind of catch up to him a little bit. Again, it's your first year in the pros, playing at this level, playing for, a spot in the postseason, the caliber of a player that he is. In a way, I'm not surprised, In a way, I think back, I know it's a different case, but I think back to Papelbon, back to that first season that he was having when he got called up and he was amazing, and then he ended up having a dead arm, late in the season. I think back to that, right? It's not, obviously, it's two different positions, of course, picture position player, but you see my point there. We've seen this not just with Red Sox players, but many players on different teams over the years, especially in their rookie seasons, right? He still has to build up, I don't, is tolerance the right word, but build up that volume of games played, to kind of, get himself ready for the grind, It's a lot of baseball he's been playing. So I do expect Roman, well, we'll get to here the next month, but this coming off season, he's going to be going at it, right? I would imagine you really got to build up that strength. You got to build up that core. You got to build up that base to really withstand a full season. I expect him to be really going after it this coming off season. I wouldn't be surprised at all if you see Roman Anthony coming into camp next spring, and he's looking like he's put on a little bit of size. I would not be surprised about that, right? He's already got a good frame on him as is, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if he builds up a little bit more athleticism over the offseason, adds a little bit more muscle to his frame. Tends to be a big help to help withstand that full season. But as for now, I mean, you're losing a heck of a player here. Like I said, I mean, sure, it's a small sample. It's basically half a season up to this point. But he's really shown you how good he is. And not just, going on this hot run to start to start his career. We've seen a lot of rookies do that over the past. But the difference with Roman is he passes the stat test, the metrics test, the eye test. He passes all the tests, right? This guy is going to have a very good, long career. Losing a player like this is very tough. And looking at the numbers here, I mean, so good. Hitting 292, 396 on base. That's the one that jumps off the page. He's an extremely tough at-bat. Gets his walks. Sure, the Ks are going to be up there a little bit, but holy cow. Gets on base, but drives the ball with authority as well. Puts extremely good hard contact on the ball. It's like out of this world, honestly. 396 on base in your rookie year. I mean, that's disgusting. 859 OPS overall. The fact that we've seen the hard hit balls, the exit velo from him, and we haven't even seen his full power potential at this point. You're only going to see that power get better over time as he develops more into the player that we all know he can be. This is a tough loss. And just to give you an idea of where Roman ranked across all of Major League Baseball, when it comes to on-base percentage, among all players with at least 300 plate appearances, He ranks 6th in on-base percentage at 396. Aaron Judge at number 1 with a 442. Will Smith having a heck of a year. Goodness gracious, Will Smith. Ronald Acuna Jr., obviously we know how good that guy is. Nick Kurtz, holy cow, this guy's having a crazy year. Juan Soto, only just ahead a little bit of Roman. I mean, that's just crazy. I mean, Soto, he's really picked it up here. So, I mean, I feel like that's been kind of going under the radar. Side note, Juan Soto. Also, Juan Soto has 27 stolen bases this year. Listen, I know we're talking about Roman, but, I mean, holy cow, Juan Soto having himself a year. But the fact that Roman Anthony is right in this company, I mean, it just goes to show how good this guy is and how big of a loss he is. So, with Roman here, is he going to be able to get back by the end of the season? I don't think so. I think that is pretty much off the table. Unless this guy is just, we all see, the level of a player he is. I mean, who knows? Let's see how he heals here. Is he just complete? Is he just an absolute alien? Is he going to be, feeling good ahead of schedule in a couple of weeks? Even still, even if he ends up being a pretty fast healer, I feel like the Red Sox, they're not going to push that. And I think you're looking at 4 weeks minimum. Even if he's feeling good in a few weeks, I don't think they're going to push it. So I think, I think the absolute minimum, would be the division round. I think they would, if you're in the wild card round, obviously you would love to have him for that. But the Red Sox, their goal this year is to make the postseason. That's the first hurdle. Yes, we all want to win a World Series, but the first hurdle is just getting to the postseason, right? Playing postseason baseball for this young group, So I don't know. I don't know if the Red Sox would do it for the wild card round, division round. Depending on how he's feeling, if they make it to that point, I think that could maybe. Again, it really depends on if he's feeling good, if he's feeling better, right? If everything is looking good, he's checking off all the boxes when it comes to the rehab. The doctors give him the clearance. The athletic trainers give him the clearance. The organization clears him. I think that is probably the dream scenario, is to get him back. I think the dream scenario is to get him back for the wild card. I think the more realistic dream is to get him back for the division round if you make it there. Alex Cora said today that he was telling Roman, get yourself ready for the ALCS Game 1. Let's see if they can make it to that point. That kind of tells me that's probably the date they're looking for. That's about 5 weeks. Who knows? Maybe he ends up changing some minds. Only time will tell up to that point. But until then, what do you do about this lineup? Listen, just going over some numbers here. The Red Sox were 32-35 before they called him up. They've gone 44-27 in the games that he's played in since getting called up. That's a huge difference. Now, what is this team going to be at this point in the year without Roman? We got the taste without Roman in the beginning of the year, right? There was just a whole bunch of nonsense going on at the beginning of the year. Bad defense, bad base running, bad bullpen management at times, right? Starting pitching, still trying to figure themselves out. You had some injuries, right? So that's a different time of the year. I'm curious to see what this team will be like now without Roman. Because it is a different team. Obviously, it is different without Roman, but it's still different compared to what we saw. The worst series of the year, in my opinion, was the Brewers series. This team is nowhere near what they were at that point. You still got a ton of talent in this lineup without Roman. Obviously, you still got these guys like Duran and Bregman. You would love to have Willier back at this point, but that's another one where he's coming back slow here. And I talked about that. I mentioned that with Willier. And I said, listen, don't be surprised if that ends up taking a little longer because you don't want to rush anything with the calf. You just don't. The calf is a tricky one, man. That's just it's one of those. It's just it's a pain in the butt. Now, with what they have now, I mean, you got Duran, you got Bregman. You know, I will say this: Nate Lowe, if he can keep on doing what he's been doing, that's massive. That's huge, right? And then Story, obviously, with the year that he's had. Massa, you know he can give you a good at-bat, but he's really going to have to get a bit more consistent here. Romy as well. He's gotten hot here lately. Let's see if he can keep it going. Obviously, Seti, he's been tremendous. And then, you know, bottom of the order here, I think what losing Roman does is that you have you had him at the leadoff spot, and he was just so good out of the leadoff spot. I mean, the guy was tremendous. OPS over 1,000. He was, I think you could argue, the best leadoff hitter in the game. I really believe that with what he was able to do, getting on base and the damage that he could do in that spot. And then he had these guys like Bregman and Duran coming up after him, you know, where, you know, it's like what it was horrific for these other teams' pitching staffs, right? So they're really going to have these guys step up. And I'm wondering, is Duran going to go back here to the leadoff spot because they moved him down a little further, more to the middle of the order? And, you know, we saw good things from him. Then we saw, you know, yes, Duran has been picking it up here a little bit over the last week or so, but he went cold there for a couple of weeks prior to that. Does he go back to the leadoff spot full time now? I think you will see him there, but I could see Cora kind of mixing and matching in that leadoff spot. You know, we saw Eaton there tonight. You know, I wouldn't be surprised at all. You know, against the lefties, Rob Refsnyder going back there. Could you see Romy get some chances there? You know, I think they're gonna. I would like to think Duran is gonna get the brunt of the leadoff time, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him mix and match. You know, it's kind of where I'm at. But these guys are really gonna have to pick it up without Roman here. We'll have to wait and see what ends up happening. But that's kind of what I'm thinking with the lineup for the most part. I do have to wrap it up right there. If you are watching on Nesson, we are out of time. Thank you for joining us here today. We have the off day tomorrow. We'll be back here Friday night. Everybody on Nesson, I'll see you then. If you want to see the rest of the show, come on over to Monster Territory on YouTube. Until then, I'll see you Friday night here on YouTube. Let's wrap this up here. But that's kind of what I'm thinking here with this lineup. And also, are you going to see maybe some reinforcements come up from the minor leagues? Joe Stinson, the password Garcia, do you see him again? Does Christian Campbell make his return? I think it's possible. I think that could be on the table. If they feel like they need to, you know, try and go after, you know, get another impact bat or a possible impact bat, maybe those guys get the call. I will say this I feel like they're being, I've talked about this with Christian Campbell. I feel like they're being very careful with him. I actually wouldn't be surprised if KC ends up just staying in Worcester for the rest of the year. I would not be surprised at all. Joe Stinson, I could see him getting called back up here. You saw him get a double there before he ended up getting sent back down, so maybe he gets another shot. I think it's possible, especially with Willier still out. I think you need something here. But it's kind of where I'm at with this lineup as of right now. Let's take a look here. I think I had one more thing. We did have something here on Kyle Harrison from Alex Spear. He posted this morning, and this was interesting about Kyle Harrison. So I guess he's been dealing with... Let me read this. This could change, but as of this morning, the Red Sox were not planning to call up Kyle Harrison for today's game. I read somewhere that he's been dealing with a bit of an ankle sort of a thing. I don't recall who put that. Was it Cotillo? I saw somewhere out there that there was some kind of an ankle thing going on with Harrison. I apologize. I can't remember who put that out there. But Harrison, again, I've talked about this. That's another one. I don't think they want to rush this guy, especially if he is dealing with some kind of an ankle thing, right? They were already taking their time with him, but if he's also dealing with an injury, then yeah, I mean, you don't want to push that. So keep your eyes on that, but that does help answer, I think, a little bit of this whole Kyle Harrison thing. Is he coming up? Is he not coming up? I don't know. But hopefully with Roman, hopefully This guy can make a speedy recovery, and we could see him again before the end of the year. And getting back to the standings, I'm going to put out one more thing. This is going to be very difficult. And, I mean, we're hoping to win the division with Roman. We're hoping to claw our way back into that number one, get to that number one spot in the East. Without Roman, it's going to be extremely difficult. But if they could figure that out, and if the Red Sox could somehow, some way, position themselves as the 1 or 2 seed in the American League, then I wonder if at that point, you could see Roman again. Or if that could be the earliest we could see him. You get the bye in the wild card round, and then you see him in the division round. That, I think, I wouldn't put that off the table. I think that could be possible, but I think the only way is, obviously, if they make it to the wild card round and they make it out of it, then, you could still see him. But that would be the best case scenario, in my opinion. If you can just skip the wild card round. I know everyone gets all scared of, skipping the wild card round. It ruins your momentum. But hey, I think that, to me, would be the best case scenario for the Red Sox. That's going to be extremely difficult. But we'll see. I will say this. This Red Sox pitching staff, Crochet, he's going to have to be lights out for the next several starts. We cannot have another start like we saw yesterday against Cleveland where he gave up 4 home runs. We can't have that. He's got to really knuckle down here. Obviously, he's been amazing this year. He's been great. But we're going to need Crochet to really get this tight over the next month. And then Peyton Tolley, I'm just excited to have him. And I'm not going to put the world on him. Obviously, he's still a rookie, but if he could really give you, similar to what he just did in his debut, if he can just give you that, then, man, that's going to be a huge boost. Giolito, Bayo, they've obviously been solid here. So I do think Tolley, that's big right there. If you can get that production, that's really going to help lift this team, and it's going to give them some good energy as well. Hey, you just got, obviously, a big reinforcement with Zach Kelly. I wonder if Zach Kelly possibly, I don't know, man. I keep thinking about Jordan Hicks here. That was brutal for him here tonight. At this point, did Zach Kelly just earn some trust moving forward over Jordan Hicks? At this point, why not? Why not just lean into that? You just saw him pitch great here tonight. I'd rather go with Zach Kelly after tonight over Jordan Hicks by 1.5 miles, 2 miles at least. So we'll see. Everybody, we are going to do a mailbag segment. Before we get to that, though, we do have one more word from our sponsor. I'll be right back.
Okay, KP, this is your first Arena Club experience. We're going to open a slab pack together. So first off, we're going to buy one of those $25 slab packs, and we get to see what is in the pack. There it is. The Grail, which is the best card in the pack and worth the most. There are some other cards that we're chasing, and you can see the entire lineup so that you know what you're in the running for. There's the Yamamoto signed card. Now, let's open up our pack and see how we do. We have ourselves a really cool graphic, and then a Shohei Ohtani 50-50 card from last year. What do you want to do? Should we sell it right back to them for 16, or should we keep it?
You should give it to me. I'll keep it.
Good answer. Fine, I will give it to you. Since the Blue Jays didn't get Ohtani, you can get this 50-50 card instead. Use the code FOUL, F-O-U-L, to get yourself 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase. Yes, you get to keep that card if you want it. They send it to you. F-O-U-L at arenaclub.com/foul.
Alrighty, let's get to the last segment of the show for tonight's episode. And we're going to do a mailbag here. And I put the thread on Twitter. And let's see what we got in here, shall we? Dylan says, "Do you just DFA Hicks at this point?" Oh, it feels like that would be the best thing. I'm off the Hicks train, man. At least for right now. I don't think they will. I mean, I don't see. Nah, I do think the Red Sox, they see him as a guy that can contribute, but I think they're going to have to get to the lab with him. this offseason. They're going to have to figure something out. I don't think I think Hicks will still be with the team next year. Unless they move him in the offseason. Maybe the Red Sox have had enough. But they keep throwing him out there. So that kind of gives me the impression that they still see something in him. Because they keep running him out there every single time. So maybe they feel like fresh start next year. Maybe that could be better. Big D from West Virginia. Why is Hicks still on this team? A lot of people upset about Jordan Hicks. Joshua Webster. He asked here, do you feel the Red Sox feel regret about not going for it at the deadline? Bad judgment by the Red Sox. I think Breslow had a great offseason, and it might be ruined by his inactivity at the deadline. I think people will remember that more. I'll say this. I'll play a little devil's advocate there. I'll go the opposite. I wonder if the Red Sox feel like maybe it was a good thing they didn't really go all in at the deadline. If the universe was planning on Roman going down, and you ended up giving up some top tier, prospects to go after like a rental or something like that, do you feel like maybe that it was worth it just to hang on to those guys if you're going to lose Roman anyway? So I could look at it that side of the coin too, and I think you could maybe even look at the front office thinking that way too. Because it's not like, we were looking at adding pitching. And you weren't planning on Roman going down, So I think you look at it that way. I think, again, I'll get back to it. And I know it might not be a popular answer. Obviously, you want to win the World Series every year. But I think from the organization's point of view, they really just wanted to get to the postseason this year. And hopefully they can win a World Series. I mean, obviously, every team wants to do that. But I think just the goal was to get there first and then see what happens. Next year, this is why I think this offseason could be huge for the Red Sox. And I think next year's deadline, that's when you maybe see them pull that trigger. May Jays. What is our realistic ceiling without Roman? I mean, if you can, let's see. How many games do we have left? We have got, let's take a look. So we got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. We got 21 games left. If you go 500 in those games, well then you're going to be at 89 wins. I think this team can go a couple of games over 500 the rest of the way. I do think 91 wins is still in reach without Roman. I do think that they were playing so good with him. I mean, that's let me do some math. Let me try. So if Roman here, so Roman was on pace. I'm going to do a little bit of math on the fly here. So at this point, he had a 2.7 F4 over 71 games. If that was over a full 162, he was on pace to be a 6.1 wins above replacement. So if you do that over 21 games, that's about 1 win total. I know that might sound crazy, but I think you're looking at the Red Sox being... They probably lose a couple more games. It's I was thinking they had a shot at going maybe 93, 94, but I think without Roman, I think you could say 90, 91. I think it's possible. 89 at the minimum. I think this team can go 500 without Roman. They should go 500 even without Roman. Absolutely. But I think they are capable of going 13-9 the rest of the way. 12-10. I think you can do that. So 90, 91 wins. That's kind of where I'm at. Let's do a couple more here, shall we? This is a funny one. From Yermi Yahoo. Now that they're finally good, why does the universe hate this team? It came out of nowhere, right? Of all the guys to go down, it was Roman. Brutal. Zach Kelly, Aces Shadow, Zach Kelly, future on the Red Sox? I mean, like I said earlier, I wonder if he earned himself a couple extra outings here to give him another chance. Mayor of Quahog, when will Jordan Hicks stop hurting me? Us. Goodness gracious. Tommy Bennett, does Hicks make the postseason roster? No, I don't think so. I don't see how you could go unless he miraculously figures it out over this next month, which I have a hard time seeing. But that's all I got here for the mailbag here tonight, everybody. Oh, did the Astros end up winning that one here tonight? Did they pull that out? Oh, they got an 8-7 lead in the top of the ninth. Okay, well, that could be a big boost there. Let's see if the Astros can hang on to it. But everybody, I'm going to wrap it up right there. Thank you for joining me here tonight. Again, a bummer of a day here, a bummer of a stream, very melancholy. It is what it is. Hopefully we can pull this out the rest of the way. But everybody, if you can on the way out, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. We're off tomorrow. We'll be back here Friday night to see what Peyton Tolley does against the D-backs. That'll be a late one. It'll be on the West Coast, so we're going to be here a little bit later. But everybody, I'm out of here. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the day off tomorrow. We'll see you Friday.